Do you sometimes wonder whether your brain works differently to everyone else and whether you're just odd and you're different? I think that a lot. And I was reflecting on something the other day. How near have I got to COVID-19? Have you ever thought that? Well, I have. You know, if I'd have shaken hands with that person and I'd have then touched my nose or something, would I have got ill? If I sort of touched something and then hadn't washed my hands, was COVID-19 on that? And the fact is, we'll never know. Maybe I've not been anywhere near anyone with COVID. Maybe I've had some very close shaves. We just don't know because we can't see it. And that got me thinking of a conversation my wife told me about. She was some time ago with our two granddaughters, and they were in the back of the car and they were somehow talking about God. And the 4-year-old couldn't understand this concept of God because she couldn't see him. And the 7-year-old was trying to say, oh, but God's everywhere. And the 4-year-old sort of wasn't having it and was getting quite frustrated. Look, if God is everywhere, why can't I see him? And well, there are many things that we can't see, aren't there? But we know that they're there. Electricity, I can't see it, but its effects become obvious. Wi-Fi, yeah, how does that work? Radio waves, I don't understand these things. I can't see them, but I do know that they're there because I can listen to the radio, because the Wi-Fi works, even without wires. Isn't that amazing? And in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, there's a really nice verse. It's verse 18, and it says this: so we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And that's really interesting, isn't it? Fixing our eyes on what is unseen. And there's so much in the Christian life that we can't prove to anyone because it's unseen. And even when Jesus talked about doing good deeds, he said something interesting. He says, don't do them to be seen by others. Matthew 6 verses 2 and 3 says, so when you give to the needy, do not sound a trumpet before you. Isn't that fantastic? I'm going to give some money away. I'm a lovely person. Jesus says, don't do that. He says the hypocrites do that in the synagogues. But he says for you, don't even let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. But he then finishes by saying, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. And God sees what we do. One thing about God is he understands everything about us. He probably knows our motivations for doing things better than we do. In fact, not probably, definitely. And 1 Corinthians 2 verse 9 says this: no eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor mind conceived what God has prepared for those who love him. And that's an amazing thought, isn't it? That no eye has seen. We can't imagine what God has prepared for us. And I suspect that's both in this world, that we just don't know what's round the corner, but it's certainly true of the life to come, isn't it? Whatever heaven is like, we just cannot imagine it. I watched a programme with the naturalist Chris Packham, and he was marvelling over the fact that he was in the New Forest and he was picking up acorns and saying, you just cannot conceive that these acorns could become an oak tree. And we can't conceive what the life beyond, that life that we call heaven, could possibly be like. So let's keep being careful because we can't see COVID, but let's remember that we can't see God either. But God is there. God is a rewarder. He knows exactly the things that we're doing, and he wants to bless us. And God has a great future for us in this life and in the life to come. Take care, stay safe, speak soon. Bye-bye.